Okay, who did this to me?
What's up, birthday boy?
Oh no, what do you want?
Well, firstly, I'm wondering when the next episode of the Multiverse Music Battle is going to happen again, and will I be in it this time? And one, I just came here to sing you a song before you get knocked to sleep.
What? Maggie, I am not Katie, so how about you just leave me alone for once?
Oh no, 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 no! You can't do that! I say, you can't do that! I thought we're having a nice day!
Wait, are you repeating that scene from the Obsession movie?
Don't cut with the BS here! My spin-off movie is coming up, and yet you bring up the Katie card right to my face?
So my birthday is tomorrow. It's not even for today.
I'm saying happy birthday just in case. You know what? Go ahead. Go make your little comparison video. I'll be waiting.
God, I don't feel like doing my job, but I had no choice. Hey guys, today I'm going to be comparing the two failed comic book cinematic universe. Okay, at first, it was going to be like a live comparison, just like last time I did a live comparison with Lego Batman 3, Super Mario Galaxy Movie, and Project Hail Mary. But that video ended up getting copyrighted, so for that reason, we're just going to stick with the editing. Well, except I'm going to be talking through the live at the same time. Okay, like I said, it's a two failed universe comparison. So it's Zack Snyder DC Extended Cinematic Universe versus Sony Pictures Spider-Man spin-off universe. According to what I know, I have figured out which one is worst. Let's just get this over with the story and structured. The Spider-Man spin-off universe starts off with Venom. Well, I thought the movie was good when I first watched it, but right after I saw the later sequels that we're going to get into later on, now I loved the first movie. Because the first Venom is just the only movie where Sony just get him right a little, and he only got jokey at the end of the movie. And there's some great horror elements thrown in there and great CGI. Well, the sequel, Venom Let There Be Carnage, I found this movie to be abysmal. The story is not very good. Well, Sony Pictures just went so out of character with Venom this time around. Like he just had a petty fight with Eddie, like he's a child. And I absolutely dislike the love interest because of that movie. Like Annie just keeps on flirting with Eddie and Venom, even though she is literally engaged, and that makes no sense. And they didn't get Carnage right, so much so that I wish that they could have made it rated R instead. Because Carnage ruthless craziness and killing was just so underused because of the stupid PG-13 rating. And the motivation is not great. And they completely wasted Carnage too. Like Venom just defeated him in one movie so quickly. And I was so underwhelmed and disappointed because toughest foes. And there's no way in hell that Venom was able to defeat him in one movie. I mean, seriously, Carnage could have been Sony's version of Thanos. Like, they could have just have him beat Venom at the end of the movie, and then Carnage would be like the final boss in the next movie. In my opinion, I would prefer it, because that would make a better trilogy. Morbius is the movie that I don't really care about. I genuinely like the character more than the movie itself. Well, as for Madam Web,
it's the biggest piece of dog shit.
well, I discuss about this movie in the comparison with the Powerpuff Girls and the Marvels, so I don't need to say any more. When I first watched it, I liked it a little bit, but then I decide it is just terrible. I even gave it a 0 out of 10 in my comparison too, and that is like the lowest score I can give it. Well, although I think that Venom Let There Be Carnage is the worst, it is my least favorite in my opinion, because I was expecting this Venom sequel to be like the Marvel version of the Dark Knight sequel, but unfortunately, it was nothing like that, because all this movie ever does is waste time through and through. Okay, you guys might not agree with me, but I found the Kraven the Hunter movie to be decent. Yeah, Kraven the Hunter is my favorite out of the spin-off movies, and I never once had a problem with it. And well, that is because 1, it is rated R, just like what the Venom movie could have been a long time ago. And 2, I found this story to be flawless and well-paced, and I did have a good time with the action, and I thought the Rhino was cool. He looks exactly like in the comics. And for Venom The Last Dance, well, I thought it was alright. I wish that Carnage was still alive to make an impact to the inclusion, because this movie doesn't have an actual villain this time around, and that's how much damage Let There Be Carnage did. But overall, the story did reminded me of Puss in Boots The Last Wish, where the alien are trying to hunt him down to get the codex, and I did find myself to care about Venom and Eddie's relationship. Like, Venom is like the sibling that Eddie never had, and that's why Venom's sacrifice in the movie hit so hard for me. Well, even though Venom out of character personality was even worse in that movie. Alright, now let's move on to Zack Snyder DC movies. Okay, this universe starts with the Man of Steel, and well, I never cared about that movie. Well, instead of seeing like the colorful visual stuff that you see in the James Gunn Superman, instead we get like a dark visual Batman level movie, and I'm not so into that. Well, don't get me wrong, I think Henry Cavill did a fine job as Superman, but I never saw him as the Superman character though, because Zack Snyder just keep on going out of character of him. I mean, he didn't save people during the climax, and he ended up snapping Zod's neck, and for this outcome, that makes no sense. And this is why I was not a big fan of that climax scene. But with that being said, the Man of Steel was just completely average at best to me. You can fight me all you want, but James Gunn's Superman is better. Okay, as for Batman vs Superman, well, I considered this movie to be worse than the Man of Steel. Well, as a kid, I thought it was average. But watching this movie again when I got older, my opinion towards this movie has become even more negative. Like, the build-up of Batman and Superman going to fight each other doesn't make sense, and I don't find the story all that interesting. It was just a boring crossover with some unnecessary cameos just to set up Justice League way too soon. Well, the MCU was a little rush in the first phase to get to the Avengers, but all they did is make like 5 movies before the Avengers. And that's how they know they took their time before setting up a event crossover. But Batman vs. Superman did not. Well, despite the really cool climactic scene with Doomsday, I never liked the movie. Well, in fact, I absolutely hated it. Wonder Woman is a good movie, but it is not something that I care for. Well, even for the sequel, which I thought that was good, but then I was like, I don't know. Well, the Suicide Squad movies are not for me. I am not into that anti-hero team in general, and I did not care about the movie adaptation either. Well, although I found the sequel to be superior, in my opinion, because it has more villains this time around, and it has better action, and it is very R-rated, like it's supposed to be. But overall, the Suicide Squad was just a mid-team with an even mid-movies. Go check out my comparison that I did with the Thunderbolts to know my full thoughts on the Suicide Squad. Alright, the Justice League movie. Well, it's definitely better than Batman vs. Superman, but it is not the best one, at least for me. I found this story to be even more generic than the Avengers movies, and all of the Avengers movies are quite superior. Well, although, I gotta say, I thought the 4-hour Zack Snyder Justice League cut was pretty cool. But again, for a superhero team movie, this movie is good, but it is not a great movie. And on paper, that is not good. Well, the Aquaman movies were a lot of fun. The first movie and the second, yeah, they were both a ride. Well, they're not my favorite movies, but they're my second of the Zack Snyder DC universe. Well, the Shazam movies were pretty fun as well. But although, the only problem with the second movie is that Wonder Woman just randomly showed up as a cameo with no purpose or no reason. Well, Birds of Prey is another movie in the cinematic universe installment, and I never seen it, but I don't think I would watch it anytime soon. Well, I never seen the Peacemaker show either, and I even have not seen the second season that took place in James Gunn's universe. Black Adam is actually pretty fun. Okay, well, I know it is dumb, but it's a fun anti-hero movie. But the Flash movie? This is one of the worst Zack Snyder DC-related movie I ever seen, period. And now we have Blue Beetle, and well, you may not agree with me, but I actually love this movie because the story and the pacing, it was just so much better than the other Zack Snyder DC movies that I have seen. And the characters were entertaining, especially the family that Jaime trying to protect, the love interest too. The action was absolute cinema, and even Blue Beetle's suit was just straight out of the comics, like it was the most faithful comic book adaptation out of the Zack Snyder DC films. And the villain was great too. He had a really understandable motivation. Like, this movie has a lot of emotional family stuff, and that what makes this movie special overall. Okay, well sure, it was simple, but I don't mind that it is generic. All that matters is that if they make a good story, an action film, and that's all that counts for me. Yeah, Blue Beetle is just the best Zack Snyder DC movie, in my opinion, hands down. Alright, now that we just covered a few stuff in details, the reason why that Sony failed their Spider-Man universe, because it's their fault for taking over projects. and not doing most of the characters right. And they could have made some of them rated R for the Spider-Man villains, because it would make sense that way. Okay, well, the problem that most people had is that these spin-off movies just make a movie without Spider-Man involved. And, well, that's the negative I have heard. Yeah, but I really hate to break it to you, but I don't really expect Spider-Man to show up in any of the spin-off movies, because after I saw Venom Let There Be Carnage, the Sony version of Venom doesn't deserve a crossover, so I never wanted Tom Holland Spider-Man and Tom Hardy Venom to have a team-up film, and thank God this kind of crossover never happened. Well, I assumed that the reason why the Zack Snyder DC movies didn't work out, because Zack Snyder just didn't get the characters or the comic book rights. Well, although he gets the Blue Beetle segment right, that's for sure, but overall, this universe was such a mess. And that's how James Gunn decided to, reboot the whole universe all over again, because he knows that Zack Snyder has screwed up, and that goes the same for Sony's Spider-Man universe. They're going to reboot it as well, and either they're just going to make it better or worse. Well, according to my negative history with Sony, I'm guessing they're about to screw up again. Yoke, if you're a fan of Zack Snyder DC Universe, and you prefer this universe over James Gunn, then that is completely fine. You can just do you, but you have to understand that Zack Snyder does not understand the DC Universe. Zack Snyder's movies in general doesn't make sense. He just don't know how to make a great superhero movie. And the heck, most of the movies, like Aquaman, Blue Beetle, and Shazam, they're not even directed by him. So I am sure glad that James Gunn is the boss now. Whatever, let's just get to the scores. Well, as you can tell, I hated Zack Snyder DC Universe. Well, even though there's some of his movies that are decent, but this universe have me learn that there are things that is much worse, and Spider-Verse is a 3 out of 10, and the Sony Spider-Man universe is a 2. Alright, I undoubtedly probably piss you guys off, but I'm just my own person. Tell me in the comments down below which of these failed universes are the worst. And if you enjoyed that video overall, make sure to like and subscribe to my channel right there, and comment down below. And come check out my previous videos. My name is Isaiah Belfort. You may call me Isaiah Bro Cinema first, and I will see you guys next time.
You know, I'm tired of being the only one that says something stupid. Well, guess what? My sister Katie got something to say.
In an abandoned vision board.
Hey! You're the one to talk. Your dad's the king of cringe. If they get married, Gunn will be dorking around our house shooting me unironic finger guns forever.
Ha! Caught on camera, shithead.